Pass. All right, the digital gaming ecosystem is cracking. This is the part nobody wants to admit. The digital gaming ecosystem is cracking and the signs are everywhere. Subscriptions are stalling. Live server games are bleeding players. Studios are laying people off after record profit. Gamers are spending more time playing but less money buying. And if this system was supposed to be the future, why does it suddenly feel so fragile? Because what's breaking right now isn't one company, it's the model itself.
Are you not entertained?
See, for years, the industry told us digital was unstoppable. Subscriptions will replace ownership. Live service games will print money forever. And digital storefronts will make everything cheaper, faster, and safer. But here's what's actually happened. Players got overwhelmed. Subscriptions piled up. Games launched unfinished. Then begged for battle passes, seasons, microtransactions just to survive. So spending didn't disappear, it concentrated. A few massive games take all the time, everything else fights for scraps. Meanwhile, publishers built their entire business around constant growth, and that growth has stopped. Game Pass isn't growing like it used to. Live service launches keep failing. Digital only titles are getting buried without visibility, and studios are cutting costs because the math no longer works. This isn't a crash, it's a stress fracture. The system still runs, but it's under pressure from players who want less grind, more value, and real ownership again. And the companies that don't adapt, they won't disappear overnight. They'll just slowly break under the weight of the model that they helped create in the first place. So the real question is digital gaming dying? It's what survived once the crack finally spreads.
So you make a good point. The problem is digital was sold as cheaper, more convenient, but the reality that we've come to realize is rising digital prices, delistings and license removals, server shutting downs, always online dependency. The consumer sentiment has shifted. Gamers are now realizing you don't own digital games. So much so that California had to change their laws to implement that when you purchase digital goods, it does not say buying the game. It has to now state purchasing a license. And earlier this year, Valve had to get on developers and devs about that you all are pretty much false advertisement. Access can be revoked. Preservation is fragile. This is why physical media conversations are starting to resurge. Disc complete and cartridge complete games are being revalued again. It poses an industry risk to where if trust erodes too far, piracy increases, emulation interest grows, and platform loyalty weakens. You have now I won't say a large, but a significant segment of gamers and just the consumers in general who are pulling away from the PS5 and Xbox Series generation. And some are going back to PS4. A lot of them are going back to PS3 and 360 on titles they missed out or just checking out video games from wander yesteryears. PS3 and 360 generation had feature complete games on the disc. They were less reliant on these always online habits and chasing trends, but I want to give a quick story lesson real fast. What's causing and what's opening people's eyes to this is this licensing. There was a issue recently discovered as of December of this year on the PSN network. It involves a licensing bug when a game is available in both the essential permanent claim tier and the premium / extra tiers. That's the rotating catalog of games you get. The conflict is if a subscriber claims a game through extra / premium instead of the essential, the license may be treated as temporary. The consequence is when the game eventually leaves the rotating catalog, users find themselves locked out of the title even though they should have had the permanent access as an essential tier subscriber. Example of this is the recently given away, we're going to use that word loosely, Lego Horizon Adventures, which appeared in the essential tier, the extra, and premium. The problem here, for anyone who's not subscribed to those higher upper tiers, Essential Plus at all, they give away these games. If you're essential, I don't want to say it sounds bad, but essential is pretty much the basic tier. If you're a part of that, you get games, you claim them, and as long as you stay in that membership, they stay yours. If you play ball and extra and premium, you have the same entitlements, but you also get more games. A rotating catalog of games you can play as they come in and come out. But if you take it from the higher tiers, it denies you access from the the permanent tier. But this is all part of the promise we were given with them constantly preaching. How is something so simple gotten so wrong? And it is now showing the fundamental cracks and foundations of this so-called digital air quotes ecosystem.
Yeah, so, digital game sales, downloadable software, season passes, microtransactions used to grow steadily year after year after year. But multiple industry trackers, NPD and GSD and all those people that track all these numbers have shown digital revenue growth rates have flattened or declined compared to pre-COVID and pandemic peaks. In some markets like the US, digital software growth is now weaker than physical at certain points, a reversal of long-term trends that we saw. What does this signals? The explosive digital growth phase may be ending, not accelerating for all the reasons that my cousin just listed. And another thing that could tie into this is subscription saturation, player subscription fatigue. Major subscriptions services like Game Pass, PlayStation Plus, Ubisoft Plus have seen slower subscriber growth compared to earlier years. Higher CRUD rates as players cycles through multiple subscriptions. For example, the Xbox Game Pass added fewer subscribers than expected in recent quarters. PlayStation Plus memberships stagnation relative to the total install base. Trend impact. Instead of stacking subscriptions, players are rationing them, hurting long-term predictability, and rightfully so. Like just like how we talked about all the streaming services. Like, yo, there's like where at one point there used to be two, three, cool. Hulu used to be cheap. Netflix has started to get a little pricey. You can manage that, but when you turn around and see 15, 18, 20 different streaming services, at that point it loses its relevancy because then it's cheaper just to have cable. Even though, they're taking contact from basic cable. That's another topic for another day. All those things tie into each other. And another thing about digital ecosystem, live service game performance problems. Live service games, once the revenue backbone of the digital ecosystem, are showing declining active user counts after launch peaks, microtransaction revenue dropping faster than expected, difficulty sustaining seasonal engagement, meaning that these developers cannot keep up the pace to continuously justifying multiple season passes for their customers, and their customers are not seeing the value. Therefore, why would they keep buying them? Community sentiment indicators, negative trends in community measures. Online communities show more players complaining about paywalls, seasons, and microtransactions. Lower Steam concurrent users for new premium titles compared to previous generation launches. Increased backlash against service-first monetization models. So pretty much to say all that to say, we the people fed up. Like I said we said in the last topic, everything, the cost of living, everything, even outside of gaming, has increased. And so if you're gonna expect this total from me for this product, and then you're gonna basically say, hey, pay us $20-$30 on a concurrent basis, I need to have a certain level of value. And the developers, the publishers, everybody that's in the gaming industry cannot keep up in justifying that. Now, I am real interested in the next couple of years where they're gonna what is gonna become of this. So only the strong is gonna survive. The weak people, and that's why it's already been publicized that Sony canceled a lot of live service games. Because why? They saw the numbers, they saw the trends. Shit is crashing, especially for a mediocre product. Like, you releasing broken games, you losing trust. Hey, sometimes some people ain't gonna come back and give you a second chance. One time you fuck up, you might not ever be able to come back to the table, because that's how concentrated spending is becoming right now. So only the strong is gonna survive, and the weak is just gonna be a Thanos snap and gonna be little dusty particles in the air. So I'm definitely interested in how developers and publishers, they're already trying to adjust. That's why the layoffs are happening. That's why they're cutting back on spending. They're like, the lady at Xbox, she's like, hey, why is it taking you $300 million to make this game? Why is it taking so long? What are you doing? I need to itemize this receipt. I need to see what you're doing. So a lot of things, not just with consumers spending concentration, but now this is going to turn into developing. They're going to concentrate on what exactly they're going to spend on. And so, we got some interesting times. Some might say this is hard times, but I think I've been saying, I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think a lot is going to get a lot more cutthroat, a lot more. Hey, your favorite publisher or game maker might not make it the next 3 or 4 years during this rough time. But let me just ask the audience and the viewers this: do gamers actually want subscriptions in live service games, or do they want ownership back? Back to how it used to be before all this digital mind trick, brainwash that the publisher and the game makers said, and it was gonna make our lives so much easier, and it's really become this little poisonous tree. I'd be really interested in the viewers, because I think how everything is looking, going back to traditional ownership of your game, is kind of where most people are trying to go back to, honestly.
This is a sensitive topic for me. I don't know if the viewers slash listeners know. Me and my cousin, we have very, very different spending habits and views on our entertainment. My cousin, he could give two shits less about physical, at least majority of the time. Majority of the entertainment she consumes is on the digital way. That's quick, easy access. Me, on the other hand, yes, I'm a little bit more loose with my wallet as far as buying up, whether it be a movie or a game. I'm not as frugal as her, but I am very, very keen on physical. I buy Blu-rays. I buy physical game disc. I buy physical game cartridges. Now, yes, I'm pretty sure someone's going to say in the comments, well, Implements, don't you guys game share? Yes, that is true to a certain extent. Not every game I want, she wants, and vice versa. And majority of the time when that happens, I do buy my game physically. But question I want to ask to the current news, and we've seen the numbers, we've seen the reporting and the statistics. How do you feel? Has your stance changed on digital versus physical?
I guess context is important in your point now. Because I am frugal, I don't buy live service games. I don't buy games with season passes. I buy, I don't even know how to describe, like Ghost of Tsushima, like things like that. So I've never ran into a situation where a game developer or publisher was like, hey, my games are not online. So I've never ran into a issue of saying, hey, I can't play this game. So I'm not really part of that, not just trying to say there's nothing wrong with that. I play concentrated games. So when I buy my things digitally, I feel like the things I do buy digitally are not a part of this whole, servers are going down, you're not going to be able to access. I've never ran into that. And mind you, keep in mind also, I might buy, at most 6 titles a year. And those 6 titles are not at risk. I guess technically everything digital is at risk, but it's not tied to online servers. So, I can't really speak on that. And so, and I guess to answer your question, kind of in a little safe pocket with my digital goods. And until I'm inconvenienced, which I don't really know how they could really do that. Maybe if they tried to go back and change something that I don't agree with, and it kind of I just don't know how they can inconvenience me, the games I buy and the games I play. So I guess I'm kind of, until they fuck me over, that would make me think about physical games. But then again, like my cousins say, we game share, we console share, whatever you want to call it. So that's going physical games. Saying I'm never going to say that just because we console share, and so that alone is going to always tie me to digital goods just because of that aspect. And I don't really buy games outside of the games we share. So I just feel like, me, the type of customer or Patreon I am, I'm not really affected by the nonsense of servers going down and you don't have access to your games. I guess, in long story short, I don't feel like I'm a part of that. And until I get inconvenienced, I think I'm just going to keep my status quo, because I feel like I'm kind of safe.
Oh, okay. So until it affects me, I don't care.
Yeah, because like nothing, I've never started up a game. It's like, hey, you can't play. It's service now. I'm not tied to servers. Like, I'm not tied to,
Right.
yeah. So Yeah.
I'm asking because, like, like I said, with what's going on, and I think they've changed it from the PS4 slash Xbox One generation. I believe on PS4 and Xbox One, even a digital game can be played quote unquote offline, not tied to the servers. I believe it had a time limit of being offline to where it needed to recheck the servers to check the licensing again. I think now into PS5 and Series X, that has been turned off to where as long as the account is on the primary system, hey, you're just good to go, period. I could be wrong. We can double check on that. But I do know Xbox has stayed with that.
Well, I don't cut my
Or
Xbox on.
well, yeah, because actually, no, I think Xbox changed it as well. I think it's Game Pass is if you're on Game Pass and you have a game downloaded and you can't connect to the servers, I believe that's when that 30-day thing checks in. But Xbox implemented the same thing with the home Xbox, in a sense where, hey, as long as this account is tied to the primary Xbox, you play stuff offline whatnot. But
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not
the
yeah.
issue for which you're talking about has happened to me once,
In
where
what
I think it
way?
was just the internet was out. It wasn't necessarily a PSN outage, I believe. The internet was just out. Anyone who lives anywhere in the United States, you know who Comcast is and their service. And there was a game that I tried to play in the license thing. For whatever reason, it was not working. It had a little lock screen to it. I had to use my hotspot, my phone, just to give some type of internet something to the system in order for me to play that digital game.
Was
That's what
this
I'm saying.
a indie or was this a AAA title?
This I can't 100% sure. This was years ago, but it was a straight single player game. I do know that it was nothing with multiplayer, no live service, none of that. It was just a normal, and that is what has always stirred a certain fear into me. Because just like our buddy in our group chat, he is full on digital. I think he went that
Yeah.
route few years ago, and he's like, yo, I just don't give a fuck. He's about convenience. There has been certain issues where server side on their end, something has gone wrong, and it's like, oh, you need to wait, double verify, or you got to go in your settings and restore a license. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
I
how has this changed your stance in any way? But you already answered like, no, not really.
I mean, and I feel like, unless you continue to have context, that happened to you once out of my cousin almost owns 1,300 titles. So even the
Whoa,
math,
whoa, some of
yes,
my
you do.
business.
I mean, 13, you do. We need to give context because, I don't want to spread propaganda of fear. Like I said, this hasn't happened to me at all, ever. And I feel like, some things, people like consoles sometimes need to have an update because something in the game is so corrupted or fucked up. Yeah, you might need to update it for the benefit of you. So maybe that was something, I don't know, like we can't remember the title, so we can't even like try to see what was going on. But still,
Mhm.
even to that's one out of 1,300 titles you had. That's still a perfect score. So yeah, I listen. I just think the games I buy, the type of game buyer I am, I really don't see how I could get affected. But I wait and see. Hey, I do have the right to change my stance if something changes going forward.
Okay, I get you. Totally understandable.
Yeah, but definitely let us know in the comments below, like what type of buyer you are. Are you a digital buyer or are you a physical only buyer? I'll definitely be interested because, there are certain games, especially I think on Xbox. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I know you will. Xbox has released digital only versions. They gave you no choice than to
Yep,
just buy
that
it
is true.
digitally. So what do you do in that
Their
situation? Like you
Yeah, their first party output is strictly digital.
Yeah, so in some cases you ain't got no choice but to buy digital. It's really not like, hey, this is my stance. It's like, oh, this is the only option I got. And let's not confuse it. Digital is more convenient. You can already like pre-install and shit, and the game can be there at midnight or whatever time rather than waiting to the morning, going to the store, picking the shit up, taking it back home, installing the software or whatever game on your console. Like, it is more convenient and it's less of a hassle for the buyer. So I'm not going to say digital is this evil thing. No, it is convenient and it does have a place. Now, how nasty, and this is always the point, the context is the evil intent behind digital goods that these game companies have done. That is the issue. It's not about digital, it's the evil intent behind the people that is selling you the product. And so I think that's really where the responsibility lies, that evil intent. Hey, some game publishers have had the best intentions, and sometimes accidents happen, and maybe you don't have access to it for a certain amount of time because something happened behind the scenes. That's completely okay. I'm fine with that. But what I'm not okay with is evil intent behind you're asking me money for, and it's really not what you make it seem to be. Now, that's where the problem lies, and I think that is the whole issue that is going on with a lot of gamers. Like, it's the evil intent and the scumminess shit, and why they like, nah, fuck that. I'd rather go back to retro gaming. I'd rather go back to the PS4 and the old Xbox and the 360s. That is the main issue. It's just not a digital versus physical mindset to me. It's the evil intent.
Well, I see, and I get your points that you are making. But I just have one more question, or where does your mind fit in this? How do you feel on products that are solely tied to online or server based, and the consumer purchase said product, and then just for these corporations to turn servers off or yank away access to them? Ubisoft recently, well, not recently, but is infamous now for taking away access to The Crew, a digital online only game, and majority of the time when games are delisted, if you purchase them, you can still play them. But they went so far as to take away from the game library and delist the game, give you no access to it all. And upcoming here in January, EA is pulling the plug the servers for Anthem. That's an online only game. Even if you still have it down, access to download it, with that server turned off, you can't do anything with it. What is your stance on that type of malarkey going on in this digital ecosystem?
Yeah, that just goes into my point, the evil intent with digital. Like, that is very scummy. That is like, because some people bought Anthem at full price. And so
Damn,
now
not you
that no,
laughing.
okay, I don't even mean to be funny, but it's just the thought of me paying EA $70 for you to take the game offline. How long Anthem been out now? A few years?
2019.
Yeah, and that kind of just goes to the point of this topic. You don't have ownership of live service games or games that have servers. It needs servers to operate, and because somebody has to pay that bill, and EA thought, hey, we will always get a certain amount of money because people was gonna keep buying the microtransactions and the season passes and all that bullshit, and it didn't happen. So EA is like, well, this is an expense we're no longer going to continue. And that's the whole reason why California and Valve is saying, hey, you cannot say these people are buying because they don't own it. You're basically renting. And that's why I say I don't buy those type of games. So I'm not at risk for that type of situation to happen. But I think it's scummy. It goes into my evil intent that these game makers have and had. They did that purposely. They was purposely going to milk people for years, and that didn't end up happening, and therefore they're not going to continue to front the bill. So I feel it's very unfortunate when that happens. Hey, if you bought The Crew and Anthem at full price, I feel for you, my guy. Take that as a lesson learned. Hey, fool me once, fool me, you can't get fooled again. And I've never been fooled because I always knew, like, live service games and stuff like that require that to have a game keep going was just bullshit. Like, I'm not, I feel like when I spend my money, I'm rewarding a product. I believe in the product. I cannot spend $70 for Anthem when it came out because I just knew what it was. Now, for all the parents and all that got tricked and now their kid can't play the game, sorry. Listen, lesson learned. Hey, become more aware of the product you're paying for. Don't just give your money away. And we keep preaching that on this platform. Don't give your money away. Now, there are some people that don't care. We get comments all the time. Hey, I got the money, I'll blow it. Some guy said on Star Citizen, hey, I blew $5,000, and he said he pissed that out in a month. Hey, more power to you. If you got the money to blow, hey, by all means, do you, boo boo. I'm not. I mean, I have a decent job. I live comfortably, but I'm still not going to waste. Call me cheap or wherever you want to call me in the comments, but I'm not going to reward a company for stupidity, mediocrity product. So, yeah, I think it's scummy. I think it's really disrespectful. I think that is that evil intent that these game publishers and game makers had started to develop. They made all these promises that digital would be cheaper, more affordable, and yet, now this is the type of stuff they do. So yeah, it's disgusting. But I mean, how do you feel?
I would say the same, but I'm trying not to repeat what you're saying about the evilness and the greed, the scum. And I think it's pulling what is the saying? The sheep over the wolves? Pulling the blanket over the sheep, in a sense. I remember when digital was coming up, and I remember the sole reasoning that was pitched for this was ease of access. Digital copies never run out. You run to GameStop, hey, they may have it, they may not have it in stock, but the one key thing that was promised that a lot of people probably don't remember, whether you are old, young, new, whatever, was that buying the digital version of a game was supposed to make it cheaper because you did not have to pay for the plastic, the cover art,
Mm-hmm.
the shipping, the distribution, all of that. And to some extent, that's there, but only on PC. And it's only sometimes, because there are some games that come out on console and PC and they're the same fucking price. And some people will argue, oh, they can't fuck over, the brick and mortar store because some issue that is beyond me. And I'm gonna be real honest, I don't give a fuck. These
I don't
corporations
care
make
about
hundreds
Walmart.
of these corporations make hundreds of millions, sometimes billions of dollars. Why the fuck do you care about their bottom line or what money they lose out on? If they don't, keep the price competitive, then Best Buy won't stock it. Who gives a
Listen,
shit? There
listen.
will always be a store that will stock this shit. Amazon is everybody, and they don't have physical stores. They have warehouses. So if Best Buy, GameStop, Target don't stock the game you like or the console, order it online. We are all accustomed to waiting 2-3 days for some shit to come to us that we could have went to the store and gotten. This digital ecosystem, and I'm gonna say this as a disclaimer, I am part of the problem. I have and do buy certain physical games, a la if it's on sale. My cousin has preached it. Some shit go on sale deep enough, Infamous will buy it, knowing good and damn well he ain't finna play this for probably 2 to 3 years. But hey, guess what? I bought it for $7 rather than $30. That's all that matters to me. The nickel and diming of digital, absurd. It is the same premise with technology. We have traded ownership for convenience. There's a problem for any given reason. If Sony goes out of business, there's weird activity in my account or something, I could be locked out of access to something I purchased. And it has happened to few people, quote unquote, by accident. Sony automatically bans people. Let's say your child buys a game on your credit card, you didn't know that, and you call the bank to get a charge back, they'll just automatically ban you. They won't call, give a notice, anything, just ban you. And you have to convince them to give access back to you on products you bought. And then the same argument goes with this is going to be a little controversy, with the piracy thing. These corporations argue, you're not buying a game. You don't own it. You are purely renting a license. And digital goods are not tangible, a la they're not real. So how do you say piracy is stealing if you're stealing something that does not exist? That's two sides of this argument. And you'll have people who champion, oh, you shouldn't pirate. Oh, the corporations, they fuck these corporations. I have a buddy who will not, to this day, ever buy a Nintendo product or their game. He will wait patiently, emulate, play what he wants, and goes on about his business. These corporations are not hurting. They have done irreparable damage to consumer rights and antitrust, all for the sake of convenience. A brand new, I hate to say this, $70 game comes out. Infamous will not buy that game unless it is under strict, extreme circumstances. My backlog is aplenty. I have many, many things keeping me busy. But not even just that. You have certain platform holders, a la Xbox, who won't let you play a digital game unless you update it. PlayStation's a little different. You put it, you hit the game, the update triggers the download, and you can cancel it, but you can still play the game. Xbox and Xbox fans and Microsoft Corporation, if anyone's listening, you have no right to tell me how to play a game I paid for, whether it's a renting of a license or the fucking game. If I don't want that update and it's a single player ass game and I want to take advantage of an exploit, a glitch or whatnot, that's my right. I paid for that right. And consumers are too easy to give up a right for convenience or God help us. Brand loyalty. People, open your eyes. But it's already happening. It is already happening because the pushback is happening. Look at the sales. They are going down, and I hope they continue to go down. And some people say in the comments, Infamous, that's wrong because those corporations, they lose money. They're going to start letting off people. That's the name of the game. I hate to say that. Microsoft is making record profits and they're laying people off. So miss me with that. You start hurting these corporations' wallets, they'll tune the fuck up. And for anyone who questions me, I got one pure example. I'm going to move this along. When the Nintendo 3DS came out, it launched at around the same time as the PS Vita, where 250 Nintendo sales were so abysmal and bad because no one was buying it. They price cut it. They took $80 off, maybe $170, and then it took off. That's what consumer control. You don't like something, you don't want it, they will get in line and make it more comfortable and affordable. But people have forgotten that. You hurt their wallets, they will get in. I'm preaching to the choir.
Yeah, so you went down a little rant. So first off, for as brick and mortars, all brick and mortars are seeing massive closures because of Amazon. So I don't care that if I buy a digital game, Walmart gaming section is hurting, or Target. I could care less. I do want to ask you something though, because you were very very persistent about the convenience and all this. Let me ask you: do you buy milk from the store, or do you go milk a cow? Okay, so that's convenience.
I don't buy
But
milk from
you understand my fucking point. You participate in buyers' convenience all the time, and so you kind of have to have context of when you're saying and trying to preach to people fall into convenience because of X, Y, and Z. Go out of your way to do physical, blah 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 blah. Everybody participates in conveniency. Like the gaming and all the point that you're making, you can make that for milk, orange juice, whatever, even water. Listen, we don't go out into the river and source our own water. Why? Because we got better things to do in our time, in our life. And sometimes, hey, it's fuck up with those bottles of waters or milk or whatever. And what is those fuck ups? They're called recalls. Like, so it's always, anytime it's a trade-off. Everything in life is a trade-off. You give up something to get something. That's the way of life. So I'm not going to sit here and preach to these people to go out their way to not do the most convenient thing. I'm not going to put myself in an inconvenient position to go out of my way to buy a physical game. I'm just not. I'm not going to do that. And until something happens that really affects me, some type of recall, and per se, I'm speaking in the metaphor, really like fucks me over, I'm not going to do that. So that's where we disagree. And like I said, everybody is a trade-off. Conveniency comes at a cost. Now, the cost that I take for buying digital games, it's relatively low because of the games I play. Let's not be hypocrites when we talk about people choosing the more convenient thing to do, because we all do it in life, not just in gaming. And I don't really know nothing about Xbox digital requirements, because like I said, I haven't cut my Xbox on in years. Maybe that's to be true. Somebody in the comments let me know. So I'm not going to speak on that. Yeah, I just think it still comes back to that evil intent. Digital, and the reason why PC digital goods have been cheaper, because of the whole premise and what they try to sell us on the consoles. Hey, it's cheaper to make. We don't have to pay for X, Y, and Z. We'll give it to you at a discounted price. PC games have kind of followed up on that. They stood on business. What they said was true. To where on consoles, it was told, hey, yeah, it's cheaper, blah, 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 blah. You'll benefit. That was kind of a lie. We did not benefit. They did not give us a discount. If anything, we've seen prices continuously increased. Maybe sometimes digital versions will have a sale versus physicals in brick and mortars, but that's far and few in between. That's really not something to really brag about. But that's just what I want to say in response to your rant. Let's keep context. We all make convenience choices in life as suit our lifestyle. So I'm not going to say and make this preach about digital and physical physical. I'm just not. Hey, baby, at the end of the day, do you, boo boo. Whatever is best for you and your household and your pocketbooks, you do it. And because that's what I'm doing for mine. This is kind of where I'm standing on. My cousin has made his point relatively clear for the longest to this day. But you let us know in the comments what you think, how you feel about this topic, and even the back and forth me and my cousin just talked about. You let me know. Are you gonna go out of your way to not have convenience of digital games in your life because of X, Y, and Z, and you're gonna go out of your way to have physical games? I'm gonna just tell you it's a no for me until something changes.
And that's it for this video of Are You Not Entertained podcast. Thanks for hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you'll never miss our next hot take. Until next time, Are You Not Entertained?